We can wait a little longer.
Okay.
Oh, we can wait. Up to you.
Okay. Okay.
Let's-
Okay, Mr. Ali, Pak Ali, your your time.
Okay, should I start then?
We can start.
Okay. So I have a PowerPoint and all right. So this is the course on Beyond the Blackboard Philosophical Journey Through Collaborative Learning. Can everyone see that? Okay, and so my class is about the role of Panchasila in the transition from the modern Western worldview to a systems worldview. And I do have a YouTube channel, and all of the videos, they're organized into playlists, and they're all about the legacy of ancient Greek civilization in the era of globalization. And one of the playlists is about Indonesia. I think I have about 8 videos. And those are linking Panchasila to, some of them to the United Nations, some of them to Aristotle, some of them, anyway, to a lot of different things that I've been working on in my career. Anyway, so if you want to check that out, you can, and you can specifically check out the playlist on Indonesia. I haven't upgraded it lately, but I'm working on a lot of things right now, so I think it'll probably all happen at once, but everything is still relevant. So I don't know if you know of this book, but I don't know how to pronounce him. I'll just call him Dr. Marif. He wrote a book on Islam, humanity, and Indonesian identity. And he was 70 years old when he wrote it, and now he died recently. Do you know of him? He was a prominent leader in Muhammadiyah. So he wants to study history with a mission. So do I. I study Greek culture with a mission. So he wrote his book in tribute to Indonesia, Islam, and humanism. And it's the humanism which theoretically informs and protects Indonesian nationalism. So what he's saying is that the humanistic branch of Islam is what makes Indonesian Muslims good Indonesians and good Muslims, because the humanist branch of Islam is consistent with Confucianism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Protestantism, Catholicism, the tribal religions, and everything else. There's even some kinds of humanism, I think, have been brought in. And then he says, none of the principles that in a humanist Islam is consistent with Panchasila, right? So when he said that, my understanding of studying the Greeks with a mission is that it can teach us a lot of lessons about how to set up a free and open society and what mistakes to avoid to preserve that society. Because the story of the Greeks is how they developed their democracy, and it culminated in Athens, and they corrupted it and they lost it, and they elected a dictator. So Plato wrote his dialogues to say, don't do this. We had this great free and open society and we threw it away because we got so corrupt. So what is a free and open society? So that's the first step, is I think you have to define what it is and then decide, do I want this? Do I really want this? And I do. I really think this is the only kind of society where people can be totally human. They can actually develop the human capacities that God or evolution or the universe bestowed on human beings. So, a free and open society, citizens are not either forced or prevented from free scientific inquiry. They can inquire into anything about nature, free artistic expression, free speech, freedom of association, a free press, the freedom to participate in public life and in the political affairs of the society. They elect officials that make the laws. And the citizens, when they act as jurors, they apply the laws. They appoint those who would enforce the laws. And they demand transparency and accountability of everyone in positions of power. If you have power, you have to explain to the public what they're doing, what are you doing, and argue for why that's a good thing. And then the citizens have the authority to replace the people they believe are abusing their power with new rulers. Okay? That's a free society. I think it's the best kind of society, and I think Indonesians do also, but we have to work to keep it going. Both the US and Indonesia have or claim to have free and open societies. Both of them have citizens who are very diverse in their race, ethnicity, religious traditions, customs, cultures. The founders of both of them understood they needed to cultivate humanistic virtues and a humanistic way of life in the citizens if they wanted to maintain their free society. So in this lecture, I'll talk about Aristotle's theory of the virtues. So even though our Declaration of Independence talks about rights, if you read about our founders, they knew that the citizens had to develop these virtues. They wanted the leaders to learn Greek and Latin because they wanted them to read Aristotle and Plato in Greek, and because that was the humanistic tradition. So Indonesia's founders did not mention Aristotle, but they knew his philosophy, and the 5 principles of Pancasila are very compatible with Aristotle. Okay, so Marif's goal is to create an educational system to be used by Indonesian Muslims, beginning with those studying in institutions run by Muhammadiyah. He says we need to make a serious effort to think of an alternative system of education for Indonesia. And once we've established Muhammadiyah's philosophy of education, no matter how imperfect it is, a curriculum can be designed. So in many academic disciplines and in many professions, the worldview of the Western Enlightenment is being replaced by systems thinking. And my goal for decades has been to modify the ancient Greek system of education to fit with the creation of a systems-based global civilization. So I think Indonesians can fit into the systems view pretty easily. And I think that's what I've been doing. So I think there's a lot of compatibility between what I'm doing and what Mr. Marif wants to do for Muslims. So I don't know all the details about Islam, but I can give him a lot of ideas about the humanistic foundation, which links Islam to Pancasila. So that's where the connection is. I also want to work with other Indonesian scholars to do the same thing, where we put those together. And I don't pretend to know Islam very well or Indonesia very well, but I know the Greeks, and so then I can add to what they know. Okay, so how Indonesians can use my work. So that's what I'd like to do. But I also want to point out that Mari thinks that Muhammadiyah and NU need to work together. And so I'm hoping that if I provide my perspective, again, that will give an opportunity for NU and Muhammadiyah to also work together so that when they develop the curricula for their institutions, the two curricula actually have a common foundation. So I'm just the facilitator in that. I do think it's so important that NU and Muhammadiyah stay unified, because the problem is the intolerant branches of Islam. And these are both moderate, they should work together. The same thing happens in the US. We have moderate branches of Christianity, and we have intolerant branches, and the moderate branches need to work together to save our democracy. So I understand what's going on a lot more than maybe I wish I did. Okay, so when I grew up in the US, the gap was between the Christians and tolerant humanist Christians and anti-humanist Christians, and then secular humanists. So I call ancient humanism spiritual humanism. And so modern Western humanism actually tend to assume a completely incompatible divide between religion, which they say is based on faith, and claims about intangible entities and unprovable, and science, which is based on facts and facts alone. So that gap was never in the ancient traditions, and it's not in the systems thinking. System thinking brings those traditions together based on recent discoveries in the sciences. So, for example, just to give one example, neuroscience, discoveries about the psyche, how the psyche, the structure of it. So the recording is going to be kind of messed up unless somebody.
Sorry to interrupt you, sorry, Prof, to interrupt you. Brother Abu Rizal, teman-teman yang sedang tidak jadi pembicara, mic-nya dimatikan. Tolong. Terima kasih ya. Just a minute, Prof. Sorry to
Yang
interrupt
bocor
you.
Rahmania tuh Pak Abur, bocor tuh
Oh.
Rahmania.
Oh, oke. Panitia bisa ini kan, bisa mematikan mic yang tidak bicara kan?
Host bisa mestinya host.
Ya, the host, could please, the host, panitia tolong yang tidak bicara di mic-nya dimatikan saja. Sorry, Prof.
That's okay.
Okay,
Oh.
Prof, to be continue. I am your moderator, Prof.
Okay, good. All right. So there are many, many disciplines that are getting reformed. But the one I just want to talk about right now is neuroscience, because it's being, finally enough evidence comes out to prove that the design of the human brain tends to facilitate cooperation with other people. We're wired to cooperate. And then so the survival of the fittest, all this stuff of the modern era has been shown to be wrong. So science, and he says this, very prominent neuroscientist, Antonio Damasio, science can be combined with the best of a humanist tradition to permit a new approach to human affairs and lead to human flourishing. Again, he refers to Aristotle. So neuroscience is leading back to Aristotle. And so that's where I'm going with a lot of this, because then you can link that to Panchasila. So Damasio links the new discoveries with spirituality. So the life of the spirit is compatible with the ancient wisdom traditions and also with the modern systems understanding of the life of the spirit. Is spiritual experiences they have a biological side to them, but the object of the spiritual experience is a higher power, right? So it's a higher power that triggers the psyche to actually have this spiritual experience. And that is human flourishing. So we need to be connected in our minds with these higher powers in order to actually be fully human. So there's no split between science and religion. And I always thought that was a huge mistake. But now finally the research is coming out to prove it, okay? All right. We need a new model of education, right? If that's true, then Damasio advocates a whole new kind of curriculum, which is what Mr. Marif is looking for in a humanistic Islam. So in order to comprehend the cultural phenomena, we need to factor in ideas from anthropology, sociology, psychoanalysis, evolutionary psychology, as well as studies in ethics, law, and religion. And I would say philosophy, obviously. So we have to have a new breed of investigations based on hypotheses, based on integrated knowledge, right? That's what Mr. Marif is looking for. And that's what everybody in Indonesia that I work with in education is always talking about, integrated knowledge. Well, finally, the neuroscientists are saying, hey, yeah, I guess so. It's so annoying because it takes them so long to admit that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, that you can't reduce everything to just data points. But anyway, they finally got it. So that's my own work, and I've been working on this for decades. So then I can work with Indonesians. One major problem in working with academics who are trained in modern Western thinking is that they don't understand the importance of raising children to love virtue. They have this incredible tendency to think once you get the model, you can just start re-engineering people. But if they're already formed a certain way, it's way more difficult. And so ancient cultures understood you've got to start this at childhood, and you have to mold children to love virtue. The reason why the ancient traditions were rejected was because they were racist, sexist, and elitist. It was just a small group of elites. But they don't have to be. And that's what Damasio and a whole lot of disciplines now are realizing, that you can take the model of humanism and you can expand it to include people regardless of race, ethnicity, nationality, culture, gender, anything. So Aristotle really cares about the way children are raised. Even in a society with a monarch or an aristocracy where power is inherited, the societies can't be stable and the people can't flourish unless the children are raised to take pleasure in self-control, cooperation, and concern for each other. So finally, people like Damasio have rejected the Enlightenment model, and they've decided that, yeah, we do have to raise kids to care about this because it's the only way they'll be able to function as a biological species, is to raise them to have a spiritual way of life. Okay. All right. The virtues are the result of evolution, but they can't be reduced to evolution. Our species began to live in more and more complex societies, so our brains developed to respond to the complexity. And then we started relating in these complex social contexts. And then we really realized we need a common body of laws. We have to figure out how to create a body of laws, enforce them so that everyone can flourish. And we consciously recognize there are powers greater than we are. And that's the source of our religious traditions. And so that's just recognizing the way the world actually is. So it's not superimposed, like those powers exist, and we are capable of knowing that they exist. We disagree on whether it's monotheism or whether it's karma, but even in Hinduism, they have Brahma. They have sort of an ultimate creator, sustainer. But anyway, the point is there's a whole way of life, a spiritual way of life that is the best way of life. And all the traditions, wisdom and knowledge can be integrated, and they need to be integrated. So that's where we're going. So here's Aristotle's model. And then Indonesians can take it and use it as they see fit. And I have published a much, longer version of all this stuff. But here's the basic stuff. The goal is the active exercise of all of your virtues that have evolved. You begin with childhood. Children, first of all, they need role models. So they need to be around people who take pleasure in acting virtuously. If you're a parent and you really don't like to be nice to people, but you grudgingly do it, and you tell your kids, be nice, but your kids know you don't really like that. They assume that that is not going to make them virtuous. They can't be forced into it because it doesn't become part of their character. They have to want to be. They have to internalize it. If they're forced into it, then as soon as they get a chance to do what they want, they're going to make a lot of mistakes, and they're going to cause a lot of harm to themselves and other people. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Finish or not yet? Because we want to have question and answer session, right?
Okay. All right. So why don't we start there? Why don't I stop for a minute? All right. So does that make sense to people?
Makes sense. Finish, Prof? Prof, finish? Can you hear me?
Yes. Do you want me
Finish?
to quit? Do you want me
Yes.
to quit today? I mean,
Yeah, we want to have a question and answers.
okay, that's great.
Okay, well done. Yeah, we are curious to know the topic more detail, and then I hope talking about the topic Aristotle's theory of virtues, very nice. There are some lesson, but not all. I don't want to tell more detail. In order, I want us, especially students, students right now, you should master English and knowledge, And then talking about that, we have free will. We want to be free person. Freedom is everything. A free and open society, it is needed. And then in Islam, Prof, as far as I know, Aristotle was one of the prophets, but we do not mention it. So Aristotle is one of the prophets in Islam, as far as I know. We can discuss later. And then Islam is a religion. The person is Muslim. Our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the follower, we call it Muhammadiyah. Muhammadiyah, the follower of Muhammad, but Muslim and Muhammadiyah are connected. And then our kids today, leaders tomorrow, we have a role model in Indonesia. Alhamdulillah, as a citizen of Indonesia, I'm proud about my country, even though, no country is perfect in the world. And then we have a model, Professor Dr. Ma'arif is one of the model in Indonesia. We have Bung Hatta, many Prof, General Sudirman. Brothers and sisters, lecturers and students, if you do not ask, you will feel guilty. Please, especially students, Students, I give you the opportunity first. Raise your hand after student lecturers. Okay, student first. Okay. Who wants to ask? Please raise your hand. Students, come on, come on, come on. We are curious to know the topic more detail. Very nice. The topic is needed. Who wants to ask? Students? Students first. After that, lecturers. Students, come on. Students today, leaders tomorrow. Come on. Raise your hand. Any students?
Well, I could ask, when you were growing up, did your parents love virtue and did you imitate them? Is that how you learned to care about virtue? Did your parents like cooperating with people and then you learned how to cooperate, right?
Yeah, right. But not all. In Indonesia, sorry to say, some of us have good parents. But another say, yeah, because many reasons, yeah, financial. Because of that, Muhammadiyah exists for helping people, right? Come on. Right now, question and answers. Students, raise your hand. Students, two students. The question is the key to get knowledge. What is our topic? I'm late. Oh, Professor Bambang. Our topic is Aristotle's theory of virtues. But Professor Bambang, I give you the opportunity later after students. I need
Yeah,
student
maybe
first.
I will be the last because I am late, so I don't really
Yeah.
get
It's okay.
the point.
The topic is needed. I swear the topic is needed. But for me, students first. Students today, leaders tomorrow. Student to students. Come on. Raise your hand. Students, if I were you, I have 10 questions if I were you. Come on. Hello, students. Okay. Nobody?
Jangan
Students?
malu-malu tuh. Ayo.
Yeah, student first. Mastering English. Making a mistake is okay, yeah. Common, doesn't matter. All of us are students too. But I want real students right now. Brother Abu Rizal, students, there are students. Nobody's? No students? I will move.
Oke, silakan. Silakan mahasiswa.
Mahasiswa
Give
first,
your-
students. 2 students at least. In bahasa is okay, in bahasa, don't worry. Teori kebajikan Aristoteles, itu topiknya, teori kebajikan. In Al-Quran, Allah says, wahsin kama ahsanallahu ilaik. Al-Quran. Ya, do good deeds like God has already done good deeds to you. So be like God, be like God, not be God, ya. Be like God, not be God. It is impossible. Be like a God, because a God already has done good deeds. Okay, who wants? Nobody? Okay, nobody, it's okay, doesn't matter. But the second session, I hope students, yeah. Okay, who wants to ask right now? Brother Bambang, Gozali, lecturers, please raise your hand. Swear, the topic is very important, needed, very needed, yeah. Okay, lecturers, Gozali.
Oke.
Okay.
Oke, Mi. Thank you.
Not more than 2 questions, yeah. Not more. 1 question is okay. 2 still okay, but 3 no. Thank you.
Okay.
Straight ahead, yeah. Straight ahead. Comment or question must be clear.
Okay.
Please, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank for good lectures from Professor Marta Beck. My question are, first, does American people, I mean, educate their children by the theory of Aristotle virtues?
No, they don't. And it's a problem.
Ah,
That's why we're losing our democracy.
but the democracy, I'm so sorry.
We are losing our democracy because we don't do that.
Oh yeah, more detail ya. Interesting. Okay,
But-
Coach Ali, keep
but-
asking.
Okay. Let's say so. My imagination, my imagine is wrong, yeah. Because in my imagine, American applied the theory of Aristotle, spiritual, in
Don't
their
you-
life.
Don't you read about how much violence there is in our country? The shootings,
Yeah, it's still violence.
it's out of control. Well, it starts when they're young. Kids aren't they aren't taught to love virtue. There's a lot of people in America that think they're anti-humanist. They think little kids don't want to be virtuous, and they beat them, right? And they yell at them. And the kids grow up reacting like that. And so the kids grow up getting angry too soon. They grow up killing animals. It's just a very violent country. Also, we value money, right? Greed is killing our society also, because it's based on competition. So you compete with other people rather than cooperate. And that's rewarded, and people value people who are rich. You know, they think Donald Trump is going to be a good president because he's greedy. Like, that is totally false. And as I go through the virtues, Aristotle says greed is the worst political virtue. It will destroy a political community. And we are totally ignoring our tradition. And it's really bad. So I don't want to give you any impression, but I just feel like, I mean, the way I feel about it is, you should not think that you're a developing country and we're this big developed country. This is not true. We're not developed emotionally. Emotionally, we're extremely immature. But we have all these fancy toys, like we have a lot of fancy weapons and we have a lot of fancy stuff, but we're not mature in how we use it. And greed is valued. Celebrity culture, right? Physical beauty is valued. And that's condemned in Aristotle. All the Greeks condemn that. And so we have rejected our tradition. But I think, you know, Indonesia has a good starting point, and you should just go. And, you know, I mean, you get discouraged, I understand, but we're both in this together. We have the same problems, and we have the same, I think we could have a philosophy of humanism that we would be on the same page, and we're trying to, you know, do the same thing, which is have a good culture so we can preserve democracy and also be sustainable. Stop exploiting nature, right? Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Yes.
Makes sense. Makes
Makes
sense.
sense. Thank you.
We are
May
sorry
I-
to just a minute. We are sorry to hear that, but we are happy to have in Indonesia. Yeah, I mean the education, but be together. Yeah, we need each other, right? Okay, brother
That's right.
Ghazali.
That's right.
Ghazali,
Yeah.
one more question or comment?
Okay. My one more, yeah.
One more. Yeah, one more.
Okay,
Because others. Yeah.
Okay, I want to hear the insights from Professor Beck. What we as Indonesian to do, how to apply the in educational system, yeah, to make the childhood, yeah, Indonesian childhood love a virtue, the virtues, yeah, how to introduce the virtues in our daily life to make them a children love a virtues, because in Indonesia too, there are a lot of bad habits. Yeah, let's say student riots. Yeah, it's almost happened. Student riots, and then the people yeah in some of the regions did some conflicts, social conflict. Yeah, and so on and so on. But today's we are in the modern world. Yeah, social media has influenced the student attitude. Yeah, they appreciate the person who has money, let's say, who has a gadget, but most of them don't appreciate the people as a people who has a virtue, who has a good attitude. Yeah, like that. How to apply Aristotle theory in our educational system, that formally or
Okay.
informally, let's say
Okay, bro.
education in family. Thank you.
Okay, clear. Okay, Prof, time is yours.
But actually, I have been working with the educational program in Jogja, which is a huge
Oh,
program.
Jogja, nice
You
city,
know,
yeah.
do you know that Mari? I think Marni is kind of the dean.
UGM, Gajah Mada University. Oh,
No, not
No.
Gajah Mada, the Islamic State University.
Win Jogja.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So I've been working with them for a long time.
yeah,
I know that they want integrated education, you know? So what I think is that, okay, so here's how it goes. Like Aristotle says
yes,
that that the metaphysician, the one that understands the causes, the gift that they have is they can teach. And then other people pick up the teachings, they get the right worldview, and then they go and practice, right?
right.
So, and that's the way, you know, Aristotle's been teaching us for 2,500 years. So, you know, I mean, there's only so much any one person can do. So for me, I'm going to try to at least show people there is a common foundation. So we stop arguing about that, right?
Right.
So then we can focus on, well, how do we develop a global, sustainable civilization? That's the project. But first of all, we have to have this view that we actually have a common humanity, right?
Yeah, right.
And we have these two basic drives, pleasure and fear. And cultures can either civilize those drives so that children take pleasure in cooperating. And then they treat each other, male and female, as equal. They don't do damage. And those are the two main, Carl Jung talks about this in archetypal psychology, that the main purpose of mythological education is that it speaks to that part of your mind that's closest to your brainstem, that is close to those drives. And the way to communicate, the way to really resonate with that part is through storytelling and through myths and all that. So at least we have a common project. It's been so frustrating for me because in the modern world, academic disciplines are so specialized and they're so reductionistic, like Scopus, right? It's this tiny little thing and it's reactionary. You wait until something happens and then you record the data. But you have to have a vision. And that's where Mr. Mari said we need a vision of where we want to have the curriculum going. And then what I'm saying now is that on systems, yes, you know, he's saying we got to redo all these disciplines because we have to have a vision of, you know, here we've already proven that this kind of spiritual integrity is what we want. It's biologically what we want. Now we have to figure out how are we going to structure a culture that actually encourages that? And that's where even people who can get to the goal, I think don't have much idea of all the steps to get there. And that's why I like bringing the Greeks, because they said you got to start at childhood. And so just for example, this is where I'm going with it, because I can only do
Thank you.
it a day, but like storytelling about Muhammad, for example, one of the virtues is anger, not getting too angry, but getting angry enough. So then you go, the story about Muhammad, are there stories about Muhammad getting angry? Did he get angry for the right reason? Okay, and then there's a story about Confucius, and there's a story about Buddha, and there's a story about Jesus, and there's a story about Socrates, and they all, so if you get it to that level, to a little kid in elementary, you just tell stories. Plus, why not let them create their own story, right? Because it's about just, it's storytelling. Or why don't you let them say, the teacher says, well, can you think of an example when you got too angry at somebody, and then they tell their story. And then that's how they actually, absorb this. They develop in their imagination this idea of, if you want to be happy, if you want to really feel good, you're going to be like Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius. You can like put them together in the kid's mind, and then you're not going to have all this intolerance, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Nice answer, yeah. Nice answer.
Thank you.
Nice answer. A good education, a good country, and then all of them is our role model. Prof, in Al-Quran, Allah said, if we have a problem, Pasta'inu bisobri wassalah. It means the power of patience, and then the power of prayer. And then our Prophet Muhammad SAW, in tradition, he said, La tahdab walakal jannah. Don't be angry. The heaven is yours, will be yours. So very nice, right? Okay, I don't want to talk more. Come on, comment and lecturers, students, participants, raise your hand. The topic is very interesting, yeah. I would like to be like Aristotle, yeah. Thinking, yeah, the right thinking, yeah. Okay, brothers, come on, one participant. After that, will be continued.
Well, I mean, someone can give an example of when they had an emotion and they overreacted and then they regretted it, right?
Right.
And why don't anybody can give me any example, and I'll tell you where on the list of Aristotle's virtues it is, right?
Right.
Okay, because
I can give you an example, but I give a participants first, right? Participants, can you please give an example from our prophet about not be angry?
Okay, here's what I asked my students. Have you ever overeaten and regretted it? Have you ever eaten too much? Have you ever eaten too much?
No.
Nobody?
More time, maybe more time. Actually, more time.
All the time. I mean, okay. So you
Especially
overeat.
in Ramadan, Prof. Especially in Ramadan, we are break fasting. We have a lot of food. We collect from the morning into the evening.
Yeah, okay.
12 hours. 12 hours.
Let's do that one. We can do Ramadan. We can do the fasting during the day, right?
To have good character.
Right. No, on the one hand, I really admire that tradition of the fast, because you teach yourself to ignore your hunger and to go on with your life.
Right.
And that is a really good discipline.
Yes,
and I'm telling you, I can't do it.
Like Buddha, yeah, Buddha.
I have to eat just a little bit at a
Yeah.
time. I mean, I can avoid getting fat, but to be hungry
Yeah.
drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm
concern.
spoiled,
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
Prof. Because Brother Bang will ask you some question and comment. Is it okay?
Okay.
Okay, Professor Bang, please.
Okay, thank you for giving me the time. As far as I'm concerned, there are some ethical concern in the United States surrounding racial discrimination, systemic racism. I would like how far the educational institution to address to solve the problem of this discrimination in United States. Okay, that's all that I want
Nice,
to
nice
know.
question, nice question. Come on, Prof. Time is yours,
Okay.
Prof.
I mean, I don't think you'd believe what's going on in the US. So in the name of freedom, you can homeschool your children and you can teach them anything. Okay?
Homeschooling ya.
You can teach them anything. And people are teaching their children to hate science. I mean, a lot of parents are teaching that. They're anti-evolution, but if you're anti-evolution, you're really anti-scientific method. And so it's radically anti-intellectual. And that's a big percentage. I mean, it's very shocking. I don't think people outside the US have any idea. And then they teach them whatever they want to teach them. And there is a test you have to take if you want the equivalent of a high school education. And a parent will tell their children, well, the test has evolution on it and you have to answer it this way, but we don't believe that. Okay? Now, the same with race. Like, it's scary because in the US, each state gets to have some control over its educational system. And so we have a national level of Department of Education, but it's very generic. And within that, we have a lot of history books that I would consider propaganda. The other thing about it is that we're so based on greed. And so, for example, Texas, the companies that make money selling textbooks have to please the states because then they'll buy the book. And in a place like Texas, you can't have anything about race. They've even taken out Rosa Parks. I mean, they've taken out stuff and they won't buy the book unless you take it out. And so the students are getting really less to do with race than they used to because of all the culture wars that are going on. And they, sex, the tradition of women's rights. Texas or these states, they can just say, nope, we're not going to buy it. And they take it out. So it's really, I don't have any idea what kids are learning because it's very crazy. I don't think you wanted to hear that, but that's true. So what happened in Athens was freedom got corrupted to mean the license to live however you like and believe whatever you like. And then we're going to have a democracy, and that is just not true. And so I don't think that's happening in Indonesia yet. I think they have standardized.
I hope not.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to go this way. I don't know what we're going to do about it. I don't know if we're going to self-correct or not, but I grew up in Minnesota. Minnesota is very different from the South, where we used to have slavery. They're just unbelievably different in their philosophy and their theology. And
Okay, Prof. Our conversation is more interesting. Professor Bang, anything else you want? But I hope others, yeah. Shall we continue I mean, question and answer is enough, and then continue, or we still need one more participants? Who wants to ask? Brother Bambang? Is it okay? Professor
Okay, I
Bambang?
think that's all. I just want to know more the
Yeah.
specific. As far as I know, there is a freedom for American citizen to have a gun. Is it right? I want you
Hmm.
To have
share
what?
about having own
Gun,
have
gun,
own
gun.
gun.
God?
Yeah, gun.
Having gun.
Having gun, and
Oh,
then you
oh
can
my
kill
God.
somebody with
Okay.
gun.
There are more guns than people in the US.
Ooh.
People have 10 guns.
Mm.
It's unbelievable. Again,
Mm.
I don't think you'd believe what goes on. So just for example, my neighbor, because I live in a very, very conservative area. So the person I'm living with is a finance professor from China. And he's living, okay. So what we have is a war state, right? We've been in war for decades. So we have a lot of veterans, and a lot of them have PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, but they all have guns. And so my neighbor is a veteran, and he told the Chinese guy he has 600 bullets in his house, and that's really important to him. And I don't know how many guns he has, but he has 600 bullets, and that makes him feel safe. And it scares the heck out of me, right? I don't feel safe when people walk around. Okay, here's another one. Again, you're just, okay, people are diagnosed with a paranoia problem. They can still buy a gun when they're paranoid. People have depression, and the household still has guns. I know people who had someone diagnosed with depression. She shot herself in the head. Why did they have guns? She was diagnosed with depression. That's America.
Big country, yeah, big country. Okay. Okay, Prof.
I answered
To
your
be
question.
continue. Okay, Prof. To be continue. Is it okay?
You want to continue so I can do a few more of the virtues?
Yeah,
I'll-
time is
yeah, I'll
flies, but
do-
we still have time. Interesting, yeah, our conversation. But I hope our brothers and sisters, do you have any questions or comment?
Maybe when I talk about some specific virtues, I'll
Maybe
stop.
right now, time is yours. Time is yours. And then
Okay, I'll
after
just-
that, question and answer later. The
Yeah,
second.
no, I'll just talk for 5 minutes about a few
Okay,
virtues.
please,
I'm
please,
gonna
please.
ask everybody, I'm gonna ask you, can you give an example of somebody you know who exercises that virtue, right? That's what I want. So take care, listen. All right. So what are the virtues? Let's go. Okay, so they're always a middle ground. There's too much, there's too little. Okay, so let's start. Okay, sorry. We need social approval. We need all this stuff. So I got to get, here we go. So the basic ones are pleasure. So we need to eat. We have a drive to eat, and we feel satisfied if we're not hungry. So there's hunger, and then there's the satisfaction. Okay. Now, how much do you need to eat? I mean, you can tell that we have to make all of our decisions based on thought, because people think about this, they talk about this, all this stuff all the time. And animals don't have conversations about what they should eat. And they also, in their cultures, they don't have the corruption of the food system. So on the one hand, what's best, is different for each person. It depends upon how big you are. It depends upon if you're growing. It depends upon if you're old. Depends upon how much you exercise. This is common sense, right? Most people eat too much because it's pleasant, right? And hunger is painful. But the goal, if you want to be a mindful person, if you want to have complete integrity, you eat the right thing for the right reason in the right way at the right time, and you take pleasure in the fact that you know you enjoy your wisdom. You enjoy the fact that you always make the best decision. So that's the goal, right? Now, the rest of us are somewhere, on the way to that goal or growing away from that goal, but we do. I think we do it without thinking we're doing it, as we think, okay, are my habits getting better or worse? Am I gaining weight? Am I, eating the right things? People just reflect about that. That's kind of common sense. But sometimes, okay, people who are self-indulgent, there's different levels of character. Some people don't even know what a healthy diet is, right? And then they eat anything. Or people who deny that obesity is a problem and they just get fat, right? That's called self-indulgent. Morally weak are people who know what's best. They don't desire to do what's best, and their desires win out and they regret it. So you can understand that. Think of an example. The morally strong person knows what's best. They don't really want to do it, but they do it. And, that doesn't make them happy. So their body chemistry is not as good because they don't really want to stop eating. And they really want to eat more. But if you're wise, you know what's best and you take pleasure, and your body physiologically works a lot better if you actually take pleasure in it. Does that make sense to people?
Nice, makes sense. Before
Yeah.
I give the opportunity to participants, I just want to remind you, our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he eats when he is hungry, and then stop eating before he feel full.
That's
Nice,
right.
yeah? Don't be greedy. Okay, come on. Question and answers session, second session, question and answers. Come on. Sister who? Rahim? Mona Rahim? Do you have any questions? Others? Come on. Comment, questions? Is okay. Abu Rizal, others, brothers and sisters?
So I want to emphasize that Aristotle is just common sense systematized, right?
Right.
It's a system. He tells you all the distinctions that you basically are always making in your mind. You just don't notice that it's actually a pattern. So he's the one that tells you the pattern. That make sense?
Yes, makes sense. So you are right now our role model right now.
You don't know, you don't know how I live.
I don't know you well, but after the lesson, maybe I hope we will know you more, right? Better. So
Maybe
at
I'll
least,
stand
yeah,
up.
at least.
Maybe I'll go out tonight and shoot somebody just for fun.
No,
right?
don't do that. Okay, brothers and sisters, please, any comment, questions? Students, lecturers, all of participants, come on. Time flies,
Maybe student can ask with Bahasa and then Pak Abu translated into English, okay?
It's okay. Feel free as long as you are happy, right?
Oh, well, okay. Let me try to trigger something.
Yes.
Okay, in the US. Okay, so how many of you, I want you to think about this. You like processed food. You like packaged food. So here's the thing that breaks my heart. Indonesia, if you just eat the way the indigenous people eat, you're really healthy, right? You have the fish pond, you have the chickens running around, you have the fruits, you cut off the bananas and the coconuts off the tree, you have all these vegetables, like, that's healthy. But then
Yeah.
Western colonialism, these colonialists come in and they sell you all this crap that
Yeah.
wrecks your body chemistry. Truly, I'll probably have a lecture on that. There's
Yes.
a book about exactly what it does to your body chemistry to mess it up. So literally, you're addicted to sugar. So I want to know, raise your hand, how many of you think you're addicted to sugar? Come on.
Yeah, come on, come on. Our country is very rich. Okay, come on, raise your hands.
When I'm in Indonesia,
Yes.
I'm shocked because you
Oh.
eat so much white rice, white bread, and that digests as if it's sugar, and then sweets. And I feel so bad because actually the Dutch wanted to get you addicted to sugar because they could make money off of that. Honest to God.
Are
And so,
you sure about that?
and
In
then
Indonesia, Prof, in Indonesia, if we do not eat rice, it means we do not eat yet.
actually white rice too. I mean that's the problem. You could actually have brown rice. It wouldn't
Okay,
be so
interesting,
bad.
interesting. Come on, my brothers and sisters, participants, raise your hand. Answer our professor question.
Well, you could, how many of you have a relative that has diabetes? Right? It's just a huge problem. Anyway, somebody has their hand up. Harliana.
Oh, please, please, please. Time is yours. Anybody? Anybody? Come on. Feel free. Freedom, freedom. Yeah. Freedom. It is nice, very nice. Yeah, nice conversation. The topic is needed.
So diabetes is a huge problem
Yeah.
in the US, and the research is coming out. Actually, early dementia is caused by sugar.
Yeah.
And so people are sitting in old folks' homes, unable to think straight for a long time just because of the stupid sugar.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on.
Crazy.
Come on.
Okay.
Yes. Abu Rizal, please.
Okay.
Comment.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Prof. Prof. Martha Beck, for your time, and Mr. Abu Ali.
Yes.
Thanks for your opportunities.
Okay,
Prof.
thank you.
Sorry. Okay. I'm so happy today. We have listening, get more knowledge from Prof. Martha Beck about the situation right now. But now I will ask you, Prof. I hope you can give us opinion about this situation in Indonesia, in Makassar exactly, especially in Makassar, in Mamuju, in Mamuju, Majene, and Polewali Mandar in West Sulawesi. We have problems. So many fast food right now, and I hope you can give us your opinion about that, because we know there is correlation about our food and our brain work to learning in campus or everything. Then maybe you can give us suggest to our student, what can we do to campaign to us. uh, this is so important to us to know what will we do about to cut the process of publish the fast food in exactly in some territory in West Sulawesi. That's I think for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice question. Nice question. Yeah. Fast food can kill you. Prof, please, Prof. Time is yours, Prof.
Okay, so here's the thing. in a free society, right? You have to try and convince people with their minds. You have to try to persuade, because the other choice is to make laws, right? And to make it illegal to have fast food, right? Well, that's not going to happen because the corporations bribe the politicians, right? I mean, in the US, they pay for their political campaigns, but I think in Indonesia, I think they come in and say, look, we're going to build this fast food factory and give you all these jobs. And, you know, a politician can't say no to jobs, right? And so they have you wrapped around their finger, right? So the other way to go is to try and educate college students and just tell them, you know, here's the chemistry of it. Here's the effect of it. Here's, you know, your dad is, you know, got diabetes, and just try to convince them to not want to eat it, right? But
Right,
you
right.
know, you have to go through and you have to say, look, it's designed to give you this little high. It's dopamine. There's dopamine system in your brain, and you're going to feel it. But if you don't eat sugar, like I did stop eating sugar, and I'm amazed. I don't crave it anymore, but I thought I was a sugaraholic. I thought I was a chocoholic. I had to have chocolate every day. It's an addiction. And you know, how do you get over an addiction? At least you don't have to go cold turkey. Like, you just cut back until it actually, you don't want it anymore. Like, my body wants healthy food and I don't like it when I give it stuff that's not healthy, because it lets me know it doesn't feel good.
Yes.
But you just have to train yourself like a dog, you know, because that part of your brain is very primitive, right? It's really close to the brain stem. It's the animal part of you, and you just have to train it like a dog. But in human beings, you have to teach it to love, you know, to want to get over this addiction, right?
Right.
Because if you just say, oh, it's so annoying, I hate this, you won't stick to it. And also it'll make you a more angry person. It'll make you more frustrated about other things. So you know, you have to just decide, I want to have integrity. And that's part of it. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, makes sense. Doing something based on knowledge, right?
Yes.
And wisdom, you know,
Yeah,
integrated.
wisdom, yes.
Yeah.
Let's be wise, let's be wise.
But it's
To be-
easy for me to say, okay, because I'm 70 and my body doesn't have the hormones or chemicals it used to have. So it's a lot easier than when I was younger. You know, you can understand why. It's just, so I don't ever preach to people or judge people. I just tell them, you be happier, you know? It's really, if you want to have integrity,
Yeah,
you won't get it if you eat sugar, because it's designed to keep you on a roller coaster. So
yeah. Nice, nice. We got a lot of lessons right now, benefits. Okay. Brother Abu Rizal, time is flies, yeah. We still have time, maybe 15 minutes or more than that, up to you. For me, I'm so happy to be with my professor, our professor. Okay, anybody else? Comment? Some questions? Suggestions?
I have
Yes,
one.
yes, please.
Okay, I'm sorry because it is a second for me to give a question or comment. Yeah,
Yes.
Prof. Prof. Martha Beck. Yeah. What do you think of the freedom itself? Yeah, is freedom, yeah, everything, yeah, in our life, yeah, better than the what we're gonna say, developing our potential or student potential. The freedom,
Okay. This is where I do think God, created a world where God gave us all these capacities to choose. And, we're judged on the basis not of what we're forced to do, but what we chose to do. And so we shouldn't want to give it up because we should want to choose. And I think that's what God wants from us,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
So
right.
when we decide, oh, I just need some authority to tell me what to do, it's like, that's not what God wants, right?
Right,
Because,
right.
because you're looking at somebody and asking them to be God,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
they might start believing they're God too, right? And so you're corrupting them, or you're really letting yourself get used by a corrupt person. And the Bible or Muhammad doesn't want you to do that, right?
Yeah, right.
Those stories are about,
Okay.
they have stories about, here's the bad guys, right?
Yes, right.
Don't let yourself
And
get manipulated.
God already has given us free will.
That's right.
Because of that, after getting up, I should do, oh God, what do you want me to do today? Ask God to guide you, right?
Rather than
Okay.
letting somebody, do it for you. I
Yeah.
think that would be condemned by any God that I would know, right? Does that make sense?
Makes sense, makes sense. Makes
I
sense.
mean, there's people who think that,
Yeah.
I just have to sort of be the mediator between
Mm.
God and people because they're too irrational and you
Yeah.
have to treat them like dogs. And it's just, I think that is really sacrilegious.
Yeah. We are here, right? We have a calling from God to be together, together, to live in peace and harmony. Thank you, Abu Rizal. Yeah. Thank you,
And
Prof.
so I did want to say that everybody has a different gift, and there is a gift to be the teacher, the one who tells you stuff like this, that, you really need to use your mind. And right? That's what you're supposed to do. And you can do it. And here's the virtues, and here's what you should do. But I can't make you do it. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not going to threaten you,
Yeah,
but
like Socrates said, yeah. I cannot teach people, but I ask them to think together, right? Okay. Anybody else? Come on. Interesting, yeah, interesting. Maybe until tomorrow. No, 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 no. Okay. Anybody? Brothers, sisters, come on.
well, I'll say next time, people, if you're kind of hesitate now, but next week we can start with you thinking of examples, right?
Right. And then
Of
give us the
examples.
topic, yeah, the topic for next week. Before we close our conversation, I mean we end our conversation, Brother Abu Rizal, photo section, yeah, photo session. Do not forget photo session.
Okay.
Okay. Everything is
Um,
okay?
So,
Finish?
and I do have the PowerPoint, and it's long, it's much longer, but people can look ahead and see the different virtues, and then they can think of examples or questions,
Yeah.
right? Are people going to get the PowerPoint?
Yes. If you do not mind, give your PowerPoint, I mean, before we meeting. So I should read first, to learn first, and then to be with you. I have some question, right?
I'll send it to you and you can forward it to.
Yes, to
the
Abu
people.
Rizal, yeah. To Abu Rizal,
So
the
I would,
committee.
I would just encourage people for whom English is difficult, just read it. Maybe Abu Ali would even translate it. I don't care. And then so they can come with ideas for questions.
Yes, that's better.
Okay.
Okay, very okay. Before we end our conversation, do not forget photo session, yeah. Abu Rizal
Today?
photo sessions. Yeah.
Today?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I wish I
today.
could be with you right now.
Oke, diharap semua mahasiswa segera partisipan untuk mengaktifkan kamera. Kita mau dokumentasikan pertemuan kita pada hari ini sebelum kita close. Okay, please all participants to active your video Zoom. We need to document. Oke, semua 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you, bro. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you, Prof. Take care, Prof.